Our subject for tonight and tomorrow is a very crucial subject if we want to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. As you know, Srimad Bhagavatam is the graduate study to Bhagavad Gita. And then there is the postgraduate study to Srimad Bhagavatam, that is Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. So we'll be discussing our topic, lust, love, and bhakti, lessons from Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. We'll be discussing, of course, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's inconceivable contribution of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. I was reading something very interesting today by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He said that actually, before the presence of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, no one really understood Bhagavatam fully. No ordinary person, that is. Because it is the appearance of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu that brings the highest pinnacle contained in Bhagavatam, brings it to life, so to speak. Lord Chaitanya demonstrates the highest pinnacle of pure bhakti as presented in Srimad Bhagavatam. So before we proceed to Caitanya Caritamrta, we need to understand what exactly is the Bhagavatam doing. What are the dynamics of the Bhagavatam? Where is it moving? What direction is it flowing? Then we can more readily understand the inconceivable contribution of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Why is Srimad Bhagavatam considered unparalleled? Even right in the beginning of Bhagavatam, what do the sages at Naimisharanya present to Sutta Goswami? Bhurini Bhuri Karmani. There's so many shastras. You hear this in India all the time. So many shastras, so many holy men, sadhu here, sadhu there. Here's a Baba, there's a Baba. Every village has a Baba. And every sect has their special Shastra. So this multifariousness is acknowledged right in the beginning of Bhagavatam. The sages at Naimisharanya, they approach Sutta Goswami because Sutta has heard from Shukadeva Goswami. And of course, Shukadeva Goswami has learned from Vyasadeva. So these sages at Naimisharanya say, we are concerned, since there are so many shastras recommending so many duties for this occupation, that occupation, you please select the essence so that Yanatma suprasidati, so that the self can actually be satisfied. So, how is it that the Atma, the self, can actually be satisfied? The Bhagavatam knows only unconditional pure loving service to Krishna will satisfy the self. Therefore, the Bhagavatam has nothing to do with any motivation less than pure love of Krishna. The Bhagavatam settles for nothing less than that. Therefore, it is the pinnacle of spiritual knowledge. As you know, right in the very beginning of Bhagavatam, any kind of motivation that is not 100% for Krishna's pleasure is kicked out. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo namatsaranam satam. Any motivation except 100% for Krishna's pleasure has no place in Bhagavatam. Even if that motivation be liberation from material existence. what to speak of mystic powers or going to the heavenly planets, or some kind of material enjoyment. Certainly not merging into the Supreme, because there's no possibility of service. If you try to become one with Krishna, you are annihilating your service capacity. So the Bhagavatam is at the pinnacle. It is the pinnacle because it makes no compromises. That's why, in contact with Srimad Bhagavatam, you are in contact with Krishna, the literary incarnation of Krishna, because of the purity of Bhagavatam. It settles for nothing less than 100% for Krishna's pleasure. 100% pure love of Krishna, the love supreme. So please think about that. This is what makes Bhagavatam so unique, so extraordinary, so inimitable. The standard of pure love. So the sages at Naimisharanya, they want to hear because they know this is the only thing that will satisfy the living entity. This standard of pure love, devoid of any other kind of motivation. Now, especially in Kali Yuga, where are you going to turn? Who are you going to call in Kali Yuga to solve your problems? Which direction will you look? You know that if you have some existential problems, what is my life? What is this world? Why am I here? Where am I going? If you have some existential problems, will you call a plumber and ask him? Will you call a gas fitter? They'll charge you a lot of money, of course. In many cases, tradespersons make more money than, engineers or lawyers. But you will not call such persons and ask them, what is the goal of life? In Kali Yuga, there is no value. Except one thing. Other than that one thing, there's no value. Shukadeva Goswami gives you that assurance that if you are trying to find some value, something good in Kali Yuga, you are wasting your time. Kalaya dosha nidhe raja asti heko mahanga. Dosha nidhe, the ocean of faults. Go out to the ocean, just a few blocks there, and start counting the waves. Futile. You'll never get to the end. So if you think that Kali Yuga has some value, then I ask you, do that exercise. Go a couple of blocks over to the ocean, start counting the waves. You'll never get to the end of the waves in the ocean. Similarly, you'll never get to the end of the faults in Kali Yuga. That is Shukadeva Goswami's assurance. You may believe, you may not believe. If you don't accept Shukadeva Goswami's verdict, then you are free to experience the unlimited faults of Kali Yuga. So Shukadeva assures you, as he assured Parikshit Maharaj, Asti heko, there's certainly only one thing, no doubt about it. Asti heko. Kirtanadeva Krishna. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, you can solve all your problems. Now, how was this problematic situation set up? You may know that atheists generally agree on their number one objection, why there's no God. Some atheists even imagine for themselves a preeminent atheistic position, that they don't even consider the question whether or not there is God to be relevant. Look, they say, let the lower version of atheists debate whether there's God or not. We don't even recognize the issue. We are the elites of the atheists. So generally they agree, the atheists, that the number one reason why, according to them, there's no God, is the problem of suffering in the world. Just see the false ego. Just see the pride. If you want to consider why there's suffering in the world, why not first consider that you're playing a part in all that? But no. They immediately consider themselves to be innocent and others innocent. And then they say, what kind of so-called God would allow this mass suffering? So rather than assume that the Supreme Absolute Truth is faultless, they practically want to assume that human beings are faultless. These poor, innocent human beings. And this malicious so-called Supreme Being. Then they grant a concession that, all right, even if you want to be deluded and hallucinate that there is a Supreme, you then have to conclude that this Supreme Being is very incompetent, very callous, and deficient in knowledge. Why? Just look at the way the world is. That's the proof. So Bhagavatam deals with the ocean of faults and presents what is the solution. So in other words, if we have the solution to our self-created problems, how can we blame the Supreme Absolute Truth? And Bhagavatam is that solution. So we are going to discuss how the problematic situation of Kali Yuga began. It began because of the desires of the conditioned souls to experience the garbage of Kali Yuga. Even the whole material existence, not simply Kali Yuga, not simply that time period, but all the material existence is actually brought about by the desires of the conditioned souls. In that way, as I often explain, you can say that the conditioned souls have created the material world because of their desires. Krishna is just facilitating. Now, you can never blame Krishna for facilitating your deviant activities. It's not that the super soul in your heart just says, do what you like. You want to make yourself miserable. You want to commit activities that will bring down such reactions upon you. Just go ahead. It is not like that. The super soul in the heart is always trying to give counsel, just like a good father will tell his son, my dear boy, I don't recommend that. You shouldn't stay out all night. You should come home at a proper time. So the super soul is always giving good counsel, but we don't listen. And then we have the nerve to say there's no Supreme because otherwise I wouldn't be suffering so much. Just after the Battle of Kurukshetra, just after Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, Kali Yuga made its appearance. You know how Parikshit Maharaj held back Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga was present, but Parikshit Maharaj contained Kali Yuga. Now you may ask, why did Parikshit Maharaj simply contain Kali Yuga? Why didn't Why didn't he kill Kali Yuga? That would have been the best thing for us all, right? If Pritchard Maharaj had killed Kali Yuga instead of just giving him a place where there's gold and regular principles are broken. But you see, Pritchard Maharaj knew. He knew what Krishna wanted. It is not directly that Krishna wanted Kali Yuga to come about, but Krishna is fulfilling the desires of rebellious living entities who want Kali Yuga. That time in the universe had to come to fulfill the devilish desires of conditioned souls. For that to happen, Pritchard Maharaj knew he's got to go. As long as Pritchard Maharaj is in office, Kali Yuga cannot make its full presence. So therefore, Pritchard Maharaj allowed himself to be cursed to die. And by his being cursed to die, this is a ripe opportunity for Srimad Bhagavatam to be spoken. There are 3 presentations of Bhagavatam that we should know about. Number 1, Vyasadeva presenting to Shukadeva Goswami. Number 2, Shukadeva Goswami presenting to Pritchard Maharaj. And number 3, Sutta Goswami presenting to the sages at Naimisharanya. So upon the departure of Pritchard Maharaj from this world, Kali Yuga could fully establish itself. And what part did Krishna play in facilitating the presence of Kali Yuga? What does the Bhagavatam say? Krishna swa dhammogote dharma ganadivi. Not only did Krishna depart from the ordinary vision of this world, but what did he take with him? Dharma and Jnana. So if you're looking for Dharma and Jnana in Kali Yuga, you won't find. They're gone. Bhagavatam explains. Krishna left with them. Dharma Jnana. So we're saying this so that you can have insight into your current situation and current events. Why is the world the way it is? Why is everyone so mad? Why is everyone so depraved? It's because no Dharma, no Jnana. They all left. Those 2 left with Krishna. But Krishna manifested his presence as Srimad Bhagavatam. So there is shelter in Kali Yuga. And the Shastra explains, because of that only shelter in Kali Yuga, Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Krishna. Because of that, Pritchard Maharaj didn't kill Kali Yuga. That was his main reason, the Shastra explains. In spite of all the degradation that Kali Yuga brings, Pritchard Maharaj knew there is a golden opportunity in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Krishna. So therefore Pritchard Maharaj said, all right, I die in 7 days. Kali Yuga comes. Because there's something extraordinarily important that comes along with Kali Yuga. The chanting of Hare Krishna is present throughout all the yugas, Jiva Goswami explains. It's just that in Kali Yuga, chanting of Hare Krishna is the only thing that works. Jiva Goswami explains that in other yugas, the chanting of Hare Krishna is present, it's eternal, but people are so advanced that they look for more intricate methods of self-realization. I think chanting Hare Krishna is too easy. But in Kali Yuga, nothing else works. So this is the real reason why Prince Maharaj didn't kill Kali Yuga. Prince Maharaj knew there's one good thing that happens during Kali's reign. And that one good thing is enough for me not to kill him. And this is confirmed in Bhagavatam. Kalim Sabha Jayantyarya. Great saints and sages worship Kali Yuga because of that golden facility, that golden opportunity, in spite of all the degradation. Those who take to the shelter of hearing and chanting about Krishna, they prosper. They get the perfection of life so easily. In the beginning we were discussing, for those of you who came late, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's point that actually no ordinary person, no ordinary devotee could understand the full meaning of Bhagavatam before the appearance of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, I didn't say they understood nothing about Bhagavatam, but they didn't understand the deepest essence of Bhagavatam, which is what Lord Caitanya demonstrated: unconditional love for Krishna. Lord Caitanya demonstrates living 100% for Krishna's pleasure. And that's what Bhagavatam is all about. That's what the 10th canto, the intimate Leelas, are all about. Everything for Krishna. As we'll hear in our study of Caitanya Caritamrta, what is it that makes the spiritual world what it is? What is it that makes a real devotee what he or she is? The acknowledgement that there's only one absolute standard in existence. Absolute standard means that by which you can judge everything, for all times, for all places, for every living entity. And it never changes. What is that absolute standard? We're going to hear Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explain. That absolute standard, good for all times, all places, material world, spiritual world, all living entities. That absolute standard is Krishna's sense gratification. Now just feel the envy. What is this? We are denied, and Krishna gets everything. But that is the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, we are not denied because we are part of Krishna. But according to our material mentality, we feel denied. And therefore we're envious of Krishna, because this is the absolute standard for perfection. Simply Krishna's sense gratification. And that is what Bhagavad Gita is all about. And you may notice people have trouble sometimes with Bhagavad Gita. Wait a minute, Arjuna was doing the right thing by not wanting to fight. He was a nice person, a pacifist, nonviolent, turning the other cheek. So many wonderful qualities. And then this Krishna was just agitating him. Agitating with passion. Sometimes in India they say like that. Krishna was passionately agitating the peaceful Arjuna. So Bhagavad Gita is introducing you to this standard. Krishna's sense gratification is what decides everything. That's how you measure everything. That's the litmus test. The standard by which you judge everything. Of course, in Bhagavad Gita, so many reasons are given why Arjuna should fight. You know them all. How his family was terrorized in so many kinds of ways. You understand all the ordinary Dharma principles why Arjuna should fight. And then, of course, you know the higher reason in Bhagavad Gita why Arjuna should fight. Because Krishna wanted it. But when you read Caitanya Caritamrta, you start to understand Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in the deepest way. You start to realize Krishna's sense gratification is the standard for everything. 100%. Not 90% for Krishna, 10% for me. In the purports of Caitanya Caritamrta, Srila Prabhupada makes the point that ordinary religion, which is prevalent throughout the world, prevalent in that if you're going to find any religion or dharma in the material world, it's only a certain level. That is, it teaches you to accept the existence of the Supreme Being. Please, people, accept that there is a Supreme Controller. So that is considered ordinary dharma. And then, once you accept the existence of the Supreme Controller and Provider, what's the next step? Huh? Daily bread. And not just bread, right? That's generally all the Dharma you're going to find in Kali Yuga. But Bhagavatam is not really about trying to convince you that there's a Supreme Controller. And certainly Bhagavatam is not about treating God as your order supplier. Bhagavatam is actually about understanding the absolute standard of Krishna's sense gratification and harmonizing with that. Then you can understand what is Vrindavan. Then you can understand Krishna Lila. So Lord Chaitanya came to show how that's done. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, I was reading today, he comments that not only did no ordinary person or ordinary devotee really understand Bhagavatam until Lord Chaitanya's appearance, but actually, by reading Caitanya Caritamrta, you can understand Bhagavatam, because when you read Caitanya Caritamrta, you're reading the Bhagavatam inside of Caitanya Caritamrta. This is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's point. This is how incalculable is the contribution of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why, of course, Rupa Goswami says, Namo Mahavadhanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Sena. You'll never find anyone more magnanimous than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is some background information so that we can approach a very important topic. Trying to understand the difference between lust and love so that we can actually understand what is bhakti. So this subject matter is presented very carefully by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He begins by saying that this conclusion of rasa, because understanding the difference between lust and love actually means understanding rasa. Flavors, pure flavors of loving relationships with Krishna. This conclusion of rasa is extremely deep. Only Sri Damodar knows much about it. Anyone else who claims to know it must have heard it from him, for he was the most intimate companion of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the introduction to our subject matter. It is extraordinarily deep, extraordinarily profound, but if, through the mercy of devotional service, the Vaishnavas, and the holy name, if you can begin to grasp just a drop of the ocean of this subject matter, then you actually begin to understand the dynamics of bhakti. Otherwise, you may simply be accepting pious activities, punya, good karma, prosperity dharma, prosperity religion. That actually, consciously or unconsciously, may be what is filling your heart. Even though Bhagavatam says right in the beginning, dharma projita Caritamrta, anything except what's for Krishna's sense gratification. It's all swept out. But we may not be hearing Bhagavatam with attention. We may not be chanting Hare Krishna with attention. We may not be serving Krishna with focus. So therefore, so many external desires are lingering in the heart. Kaviraj Goswami is going to clarify what is the actual standard. And he wants you to know that this deepest subject matter is coming to us by the mercy of the most intimate associate of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Damodar. Later in this chapter, Adi Lila chapter 4, Kaviraj Goswami is going to say an interesting thing. He says, actually, I shouldn't be talking about these things. It is so confidential and so high. But I'll talk about these things with confidence because non-devotees will never understand it. He was assured of that. Why? Just think. What person in material consciousness really cares about the distinction between lust and love? No way. It's all merged together. In so many attempts at dharma, at ordinary religion in this world, there is no distinction. In that, the expectation is God, because you worship Him, should fulfill your lusty desires. God should fulfill your material desires and give you prosperity, give you good enjoyment, good material happiness. This is why, one reason why Kaviraj Goswami is confident. I can speak about these things because those who are not meant to understand it, they'll never understand it. At the same time, the Vaishnavas who are endeavoring to advance in pure love of Krishna, they can benefit, they'll understand. But as you know, you go announce to the average person in the world today, please, we're going to teach you the difference between lust and pure love. East, west, north, south, India, Australia, US, whatever. Same reaction. Expressed differently according to one's culture, but still the same reaction. No, thank you. So please bear in mind how Kaviraj Goswami treats this subject matter. He's going to deal directly with Krishna's intimate pastimes looking like their ordinary lust affairs. And he's going to explain that Krishna's pastimes, his intimate pastimes, have nothing to do with mundane biology, mundane psychology, nothing to do with the material energy. Accept that, and then you can start to understand what is the difference between lust and love. Otherwise, you can't understand. Until you accept the all-perfect, impeccable, infallible reality of Krishna's loving affairs, you can't understand what is real love. Because it is Krishna's loving affairs that are the absolute standard. Again, Krishna's sense gratification is the standard by which you judge everything. Krishna Bhakti means, is Krishna being satisfied 100%? Not, is Krishna being satisfied, okay, 90% and 10% for me. The real devotee thinks, I must serve Krishna. He may accept, he may not accept. Still, I must serve Krishna. Now just think, generally when you're serving someone in the material world, in the material sense of the word service, you expect the person to accept your service and acknowledge it, and indeed repay you. What bhakti actually means, I must serve Krishna because I'm his part. And even more developed than that is the urge to serve Krishna because he's unlimitedly attractive. But whether he accepts or not, that's another thing. I will go on. Lord Caitanya demonstrated this attitude in his Shikshashtaka prayer. You see, usually when you don't get what you want, you get angry. That shows material desire. Krishna explains the cycle in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Contemplating the objects of the senses, attachment develops. After attachment, lust comes. And after lust, what comes? Anger, because your lusty desires can never be satisfied. So lust must lead to anger. So, when you don't get what you want, the conditioned soul, of course, becomes angry. Whether it's with God or with other living beings. Contrast that with the attitude that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presents. Shunyayatam jagat sarvam. The whole world is void, vacant, zero. Just like, for example, if you ever had the tragedy of losing a dearly beloved family member. Everything the whole world seems empty at that time. In New Zealand, one devotee was telling me how she knew a lady who lost two daughters at the same time. The daughters were driving in a car on the state highway, and one of the daughters who was driving, she decided to text message while she's driving. And so the car veered into the other side of the highway and ran right into a truck. Both daughters are gone at the same time. Mother got a phone call, please come identify the bodies of your daughters. Lost all her children, same time. That kind of incident, that kind of tragedy, makes a person feel that the whole universe is empty. Shunyayatam, zero. And then what does Lord Caitanya explain? Krishna, even if you're not present before me, even I may be brokenhearted, I may be disappointed, but it's not material disappointment. What happens when you're materially disappointed? You get angry. But Lord Caitanya is presenting that even I may be disappointed, but I'll never give up Krishna. That is Vrindavan. That is pure love. You know how when Krishna apparently left Vrindavan to go to Mathura, eventually to Dwarka, his dearest devotees in Vrindavan would discuss, oh, Krishna has left us. We gave up everything for him. We disregarded social conventions. We gave up our reputations. We gave up our families. Everything we sacrificed for Krishna. No one has ever sacrificed more for Krishna than his dearest devotees in Vrindavan. And we gave up everything for him, and what is he doing? He's with those sophisticated city ladies. He's not thinking of us, so why should we think of him? We will stop talking about him because he has done this, he has done that. There's no reason for us to think or talk about him. Therefore, we're going to stop talking about him because Krishna's doing this, he's doing that. He treated us in this way, he treated us in that way. We're going to stop talking about him. They couldn't stop talking about him. So the Acharyas point out that although they talk like that we're going to stop talking about Krishna. He doesn't care about us. Why should we care about him? Not for a split second could they withdraw their minds from Krishna. Not for a split second. That is pure love. Whereas when you get disappointed, you get angry. Why was I not reciprocated with? I did this for you. You have not done for me. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is demonstrating this pinnacle of pure love. Everything is 100% according to the standard of Krishna's sense gratification. Not 99%, 100%. If he likes, he can break my heart by not being present before me. Sure, I will be disappointed, but still he's my worshipful Lord unconditionally. This is the brightest illumination of what is Dharma. So Krishna's Kaviraj Swami is going to describe. He's going to elucidate a crucial understanding. What is lust and what is love? And it's an understanding that's beyond conventional morality. In other words, you're going to hear in the presentation of Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami that lust is not simply carnality or physical urge. Lust has to do with anything that is not 100% for Krishna's pleasure. You're going to hear a long list of components of lust, which includes everything in material existence. You'll be shocked to hear the list. Because Bhagavatam, Caitanya Caritamrta are establishing clearly how pious activity, punya, mystic powers, even liberation from material existence, it's all in the category of lust. Then, upon knowing this, you can understand why Krishna is asking Arjuna to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. He's asking Arjuna, you act for my pleasure. You are my part. Remember, the absolute standard is simply Krishna's sense gratification. Yes, in the Kurukshetra war, Krishna was making politics. What are you going to do about it? Why can't Krishna make politics? What were the politics of Krishna? He wanted Duryodhana's group out, and he wanted his men in. It's politics. Then you have to understand, does Krishna have a right to make politics? And of course, if you know who Krishna is, certainly he can make politics, because he is the standard of sense gratification. Therefore, if Krishna wants Arjuna to fight, that is pure love. Even though Arjuna's fighting, to some people, looks like it's not the most pious thing to do. But Bhagavad Gita is taking you beyond piety and impiety to accept the standard of Krishna's pleasure as the be-all, end-all. The linchpin, the judging, the standard for judging. So now you see, I hope, that Bhagavad Gita is preparing you to a certain level. Then Bhagavatam is taking you to another level. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur describes how the Bhagavatam brings you along, how it facilitates your spiritual evolution. The Bhagavatam, as it makes its way up through the cantos, first of all, deals with the presence of the Supreme Source, Supreme Controller, Janmadiya Sata. The absolute truth is that from which everything is emanated. From the supreme power, the supreme source, the Bhagavatam takes you to understanding the neutrality, the supreme absolute truth in neutrality, all pervading, all knowing. From there, it takes you to understanding the supreme absolute truth as masculine, Purusha, Lord of the Prakriti, the enjoyer, the master of the energies, the Prakriti. From Purusha and Prakriti, the Bhagavatam takes you to understand that there is a divine couple. Radha and Krishna are the exchange of love. And then Bhagavatam takes you further. That divine couple have affairs as a married couple. Then Bhagavatam takes you even further than that. That divine couple have affairs as an unmarried couple. So in this way, the Bhagavatam is bringing you along to the point of accepting the full impact that the real standard is simply Krishna's sense gratification. And, of course, Krishna has no material body. His associates have no material bodies. There's not one slight trace of material anything in Krishna's pastimes. Once you accept that, then you begin to see how tragic material existence is. Because material existence is all about how to please me. So let's hear a very famous verse from Caitanya Caritamrta, which clearly elucidates lust and love. Atmendriya priti vancha tari balikam. Krishnendriya priti ichcha dore premanam. The desire to gratify one's own senses is kama, lust. But the desire to please the senses of Lord Krishna is prema, love. Let's hear from the purport. The revealed scriptures describe pure love as follows. Sarvata dramsa rahitam satyapi dramsa karane yadbhava bandhanam yuno saprema parikirtita. Now, please listen to this verse because it's giving you insight into what is unconditional love. The verse says, if there is ample reason for the dissolution of a conjugal relationship, and yet such a dissolution does not take place, such a relationship of intimate love is called pure. So obviously that was the case in Vrindavan. And Krishna acknowledged, I can't repay you. You've given up everything for me. What can I do for you? I'm in debt. So, how did Krishna actually seek to pay his debt to his dearest devotees? Who knows? Hmm?
He gave himself.
He left them. Shocking, isn't it? But by his apparent leaving them, he was giving himself more than ever. Because actually in the ecstatic feelings of the residents of Vrindavan in separation from Krishna, they had Krishna more than ever. This is the mystery of Vrindavan. I always explain that you can't do that in the material world. Some married man says to his wife, "You have served me so wonderfully for 30 years. I cannot repay you even if I had the lifetime of Brahma. Therefore, I'm leaving you." But Krishna can do that. Because by his leaving, his apparent leaving, his presence is there even more intensely. So that's how he actually repaid his dearest devotees. And that repayment by leaving them is so inconceivably, extraordinarily intense that Krishna himself wanted to taste what it's like. And therefore he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is this love of me in separation? What is it that my devotees can never give me up, even though there's ample reason to give me up? What's it like to be a devotee and feel my absence? And yet, in my absence, feel my presence even more. I shall come as a devotee and find out what this is like. So Lord Caitanya is Krishna, especially taking the role of Krishna's dearest devotee, Srimati Radharani, at the time when Uddhava came to Vrindavan to deliver a message from Krishna and saw the devastation in separation. You take a snapshot of that atmosphere in Vrindavan, complete devastation and separation from Krishna, and that is what Lord Caitanya came to experience. He's Krishna coming to taste that. Those emotions, that consciousness. So this way, I hope you can see deeper into this verse, which may seem a bit esoteric, a bit, what is this? If there's ample reason for the dissolution of a conjugal relationship, and yet such a dissolution does not take place, such a relationship of intimate love is called pure. What is this? All right, we'll read more of the purport. The predominated gopis were bound to Krishna in such pure love. For them, there was no question of sexual love based on sense gratification. Their only engagement in life was to see Krishna happy in all respects, regardless of their own personal interests. They dedicated their souls only for the satisfaction of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. There was not the slightest tinge of sexual love between the gopis and Krishna. The author of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta asserts with authority that sexual love is a matter of personal sense enjoyment. All the regular principles in the Vedas pertaining to desires for popularity, fatherhood, wealth, and so on are different phases of sense gratification. Now listen to this long list of things which sound nice and good in this world. Listen to how they're all classified as sense gratification. Acts of sense gratification may be performed under the cover of public welfare, nationalism, religion, altruism, ethical codes, biblical codes, health directives, fruit of action, bashfulness, tolerance, personal comfort, liberation from material bondage, progress, family affection, or fear of social ostracism or legal punishment. So you're starting to wonder, what is left? You heard even examples like bashfulness and tolerance. Well, think about Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna was saying, if they want to be greedy, that's all right. Let them have it all. I will just walk away. If they're going to be so avaricious and so grasping and possessive, all right, let them have it all. So even those kind of fine qualities are considered to be sense gratification. That's why Krishna chastised them. So John, you're speaking big words of sociology, nonviolence, tolerance, morality, but in other words, you're a fool. Don't you know life is all about my sense gratification? That's the standard. And I'm making politics. I want you out, and I want you in. Don't be bashful, don't be shy. So can you feel that resistance well up in you now? Why everything for Krishna's sense gratification? Why? What about us? If we worship God, if we do that favor for God by worshiping Him, Jai Jagadisha Hari, all the Lakshmi should come, right? Nice wife, nice husband, nice children. All the children will be very well educated and with big incomes. Everyone will live happily in this world and die peacefully in their sleep. So just see how Caitanya Caritamrta is taking you to the mountaintop of what is real existence. So all that long list is considered to be sense gratification. Prabhupada writes, but all these categories are different subdivisions of one substance, sense gratification. All such good acts are performed basically for one's own sense gratification. For no one can sacrifice his personal interest while discharging these much advertised moral and religious principles. But above all this is a transcendental stage in which one feels himself to be only an eternal servitor of Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead. All acts performed in this sense of servitude are called pure love of God, because they are performed for the absolute sense gratification of Sri Krishna. However, any act performed for the purpose of enjoying its fruits or results is an act of sense gratification. Such actions are visible sometimes in gross and sometimes in subtle forms. So please remember this very crucial verse from Caitanya Caritamrta. The desire to gratify one's own senses is kama, lust, but the desire to please the senses of Lord Krishna is prema, love. So I hope now you firmly can see that the definition of lust, according to Siddhanta is not simply carnality. It's about any desire other than for pleasing Krishna. So lust can include even the desire to be free from material existence. What does Shukadeva Goswami say in second canto of Bhagavatam? Akama, sarva kama va, moksha kama. What does moksha kama mean? You are lusty for liberation. It's still kama. This is how high Bhagavatam is, and Caitanya Caritamrta, which has Bhagavatam within it, says Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Caitanya Caritamrta is elucidating on what Krishna introduced in Bhagavad Gita when he said, Sarva dharman prityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Surrender to me. That means surrender to the absolute standard of sense gratification. And then Bhagavatam describes, who is that me? Who is that Mam, that Krishna? Why unto Krishna? Tell us, who is that Krishna? And then Caitanya Caritamrita presents the activities of pure love in perfection. So at this point, are there any questions? We will continue tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to discuss an extraordinary paradox that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami points out about the relationship between the devotee and Krishna. There's a contradiction. Because you may be wondering, oh, okay, everything for Krishna, what about me? I know I'm not supposed to want anything for myself, but still, what about me? All right, any questions? Yes.
Is it okay to enjoy something with Krishna?
How do you want to cut the pie? 50-50? What do you mean by with Krishna?
So,
Give me an example.
I'll give you a simple one that I'm thinking about. So, if I'm going to eat a piece of fruit, and it's a beautiful piece of fruit that God has provided us, and when I'm eating it, I'm saying, thank you, Lord, for this beautiful piece of fruit that I'm enjoying. In a way, I feel like I'm enjoying it with Him. Is that okay?
You've offered to Krishna, and you're allowed to take what has already been offered to Krishna, what Krishna has already enjoyed. But actually, as you progress further in bhakti, as you're eating Krishna's prasad, you're thinking, I'm taking this so that I can remember Krishna more, so that I can become energized to serve Krishna more. When Lord Caitanya is serving prasad to his devotees, and also when the devotees of Lord Caitanya are serving him prasad, and Lord Caitanya is protesting, no, I cannot take all this prasad. What do they tell each other? Just taste it as Lord Krishna has tasted it. Follow in the footsteps of the Lord's enjoyment. See how Krishna has enjoyed. Not that you are directly the enjoyer, but taste how Krishna has enjoyed. In other words, take pleasure in Krishna's pleasure. Just see how Krishna has tasted this and enjoyed it. Take pride in that. Krishna has enjoyed it. In the beginning stages of bhakti, we're not going to persecute you for wanting to be happy in the ordinary sense. We even say, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But as you become a more advanced devotee, you start to understand the full import of that statement, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. We'll be discussing that more tomorrow. There's a paradox there. Naturally, you think, if I'm not going to be concerned with my own happiness, then what's going to go on here? What's going to happen to me? So in the beginning, it is fine for you to think that my life is going to be better, I'll be more peaceful, I'll have less stress. That's all right. But you should know the full picture. And that's what Caitanya Caritamrta, which is the most advanced Vaishnava literature. It's getting you to see what's up ahead down the road. You need to see the full possibilities of love. Now you may be at the stage, for example, like a little girl who 8 years old, and a bunch of little girls, maybe you played like that when you were a little girl. Oh, you like him, he likes you. Remember? No, all right. You never did that. But you know what I mean, right? Little girls would play. But, so they're obviously, they don't know much about the subject matter. There's a little inkling there. But when they become teenagers, then things start to develop. When they become adults, things develop more. So, Caitanya Caritamrta is letting you see the full possibilities of pure love. So don't feel intimidated by that. Feel grateful that you can see what's up ahead. You want to know what the goal is so that you can become inspired, not intimidated. Isn't it inspiring to know that love starts like this and gradually develops and gets better and better? Isn't that inspiring?
Very inspiring.
Yes. And this is the only way that the self will be satisfied with this kind of pure love. Otherwise, if our dharma, if our religion is simply going to be all about God give me this, God give me that. What is that popular song of some decades ago? Oh Lord, please buy me a Mercedes Benz. My neighbor's got a BMW, so please do something about it, Lord. Isn't it wonderful to know that there is something far beyond this religion, which simply considers God as the order supplier? Give me this, give me that, save me from this, save me from that. This is what Lord Caitanya is coming to demonstrate. What is unconditional love? That is what will satisfy the self. Nothing else. Other questions? Yes.
As you said, anything done for oneself is lust, and the practical reality is everything is lust right now. And even if we want to leave that lust, we are pretending like, oh, I don't want to do this thing or that thing because it's putting me into more troubles, like doing office work or household work or anything. Even leaving that work is lust because we are not doing it for Krishna, because there is no true desire as such within right now.
No, what kind of desire?
No desire to serve Krishna as such. There is no true desire. It's all to go away from the troubles rather than serving Krishna.
That is why we have our duties, our occupational duties, family duties, so that we can have a firm foundation for developing this pure love. So you're right, even varnashram dharma duties And Varnashram Dharma is Krishna's system, his material system for living in the material world. Even Varnashram Dharma, you're going to hear in coming verses, is considered sense gratification. But it's a necessary thing in the stage of development for most human beings. So yes, do your duty so that you become purified, and then you can more understand what is pure love. Yes.
Thank you. You said that Krishna, when he left, he took Dharma with him.
That's what Bhagavatam says. Dharma Gyanadibi.
But when we're talking about Vaishnava Dharma, or Vaishnava Dharma is still here, though, huh? Is that correct?
Yes. Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation which has arisen brilliant as the sun.
Okay, so what kind of Dharma did Krishna take?
The pious human society in terms of civilizing principles of how to live so you can make progressive development. It's gone. Can't you see that? There's no human society. That all left with Krishna. Jnana is gone, meaning the intense metaphysical scholarship. Who has that kind of ability? Where do you see persons who will argue like Prakashananda Saraswati did with Lord Caitanya? Gone. You don't see the proper structures in human society for the gradual development of the human spirit. You don't see that. It's gone. Even in India, you see, people don't understand why they're doing certain rituals, why certain traditions are a certain way. They just do it mechanically, if they do it at all. It's all done without understanding. The knowledge is gone of what is Dharma. They're just the remnants of doing things because this is how grandmother lived. But then, of course, now we're in Australia and grandmother's not here. So what does that mean? You know. Other questions? Yes.
I was just thinking about this question. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you think, just give it to me. So if we think about two fruits, one test, the spiritual test, and another is materialistic test. So if I experience both fruits, which will give me one spiritual test, another one is a materialistic test. And if we surrender both tests to Lord Krishna, what will be the ultimate test of the experience? I believe that this will be the same. What would be?
Bhagavad Gita is presenting different levels. When Krishna says, whatever you do, do as an offering for me, this is karma yoga. That means you're attached to acting in a certain way, but you offer the fruits to Krishna. Pure bhakti, complete bhakti, means I'm not attached to the fruits and I'm not attached to what I do. It's whatever Krishna wants, however Krishna wants it. But most people should look up to karma yoga. It's a great step forward. I'm attached to acting a certain way, having a family, working a job, but I offer the fruits to Krishna. Wonderful. Okay? But gradually, as the years go by, if you're properly executing karma yoga under direction, that's why a guru is necessary, pure bhakti will begin to develop. That means whatever Krishna wants, how Krishna wants it. But we shouldn't prematurely try for that without proper guidance, because we may become confused and become irresponsible or neglectful about our necessary affairs in this world. That's why bhakti requires guidance. Okay? Let me conclude with reading a few more verses from Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. Therefore, lust and love are quite different. Lust is like dense darkness, but love is like the bright sun. Thus, there is not the slightest taint of lust in the gopis' love. Their relationship with Krishna is only for the sake of his enjoyment. So please think about that. This is the standard of pure bhakti. And Lord Chaitanya has certified Ramya Kashchit Upasana Vrajuvadu Vargena Kalpita. There's no better way of loving Krishna than that demonstrated by the cowherd girls of Vrindavan. Why? As Kaviraj Goswami explains here, the gopis do not care for their own pleasures or pain. All their physical and mental activities are directed toward offering enjoyment to Lord Krishna. They renounced everything for Krishna. They have pure attachment to giving Krishna pleasure. This is what we aspire for. Pure attachment for giving Krishna pleasure. This is the real dynamic of bhakti. All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Devamrita Swami Maharaj ki.